Welcome to Between the Lines. Hope you all had a good 4th last weekend. This is going to be the final show in our 8-week segment, and we've talked about so much. I mean, just absolutely great shows with TVA and UPF, and of course the congressman and Rhone State, leaders of the corridor. We're going to finish the last segment. We're going to talk about environmental management. In other words, as we have done all of this nuclear work for 80 years, since the 40s, especially in Oak Ridge and Hanford and other places, and had sites all over, there's a cost with that. It's like I used the analogy in our show talking before. If you have a big wedding, you have other things going on at the house, and the home and the yard's a wreck the next day. Well, when you come in and you do a lot of work with fission, you do a lot of work, there's damage and unusable places. And we'll talk a little bit about the different kinds of management that's needed, remediation and different things. And we in Oak Ridge know a little bit about that, and most of you in East Tennessee have heard about it. But we're going to talk about with 2 vice presidents of the leading, one executive, one senior. If I don't say it right, Ryan will get on me. So we're going to talk about exactly what the differences are and the costs are, and how some of the great jobs that have been done. And Navarro's one of the top leaders in environmental management and cleanup. They have a major presence across the country. So I really appreciate them sponsoring this series, but also coming on to talk about it. Connie, welcome. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Mics are working. We fixed that, folks, before we started. We got everything going. So let's talk a little bit about you guys first. And we have a map to put up later that you've kindly provided us. People don't realize how large. It's not just taking a shovel and dirt and cleaning up some stuff. And I always thought the college was just cement everything over. That's where I was trained. Just if you cement it, then you not your area, but any kind of cleanup of chemicals, et cetera, and that kind of thing. So, can somebody tell me to start when environmental management? When did we start taking responsibility for cleaning stuff up? Connie, you've been at it a long time.
Sure, I'll take a shot at that. So yeah, a lot of people know already, but the environmental management program is rooted in the Manhattan Project with the development of the atomic weapon. We have been charged, the EM program has been charged with cleaning up that legacy waste that comes both from the development of the weapons as well as...
And what president did that start? We weren't cleaning up under Roosevelt. We weren't cleaning up under Kennedy.
We started in 1989. EM was chartered, so we've been in the business a little over 30 years.
Okay.
And we took over. There were 107 sites, so when you see the map, 107 major sites. There were some small ones, but 107.
What were we doing at all those sites? I mean, I know the nuclear part of it and the war part didn't include that many sites. So was it just we were using reactors for different things?
Well, I'll tell you for Idaho, because I live in Idaho, so it's kind of near and dear to my heart. We did a lot of research there. We built 52 reactors on the Idaho site.
Wow.
And we were just testing different types of reactors, different types of fuel to determine which ones could be used the most safely with the least amount of risk. And
there's residual from those tests and all those.
Correct.
I got you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And all those reactors have since been taken down, but you're right. The mess that results is still there.
I didn't realize it was that broad. I didn't realize that we were doing that much.
And then other sites like Hanford, Oak Ridge, Los Alamos were absolutely part of the Manhattan Project. Absolutely. Plutonium, uranium, and
so there is cleanup necessary for non-weapon type projects?
Correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's where I missed it. I thought maybe it was all related to the plutonium and uranium necessary for weapons and other things, but there is other usages of reactors that would have cleanup. Today, in the newer reactors, do we have cleanup, or would there be cleanup of stuff we do now, or do we do it while we're doing it, kind of thing?
Well, I think there will be some back end to be done, but I think you're right. As we go forward, we've learned our lesson, I think. As reactors develop, we'll make sure that there's ways to deal with the waste that comes out. The part of the problem was with the environmental management is it built up over time, from the 40s clear up through the 60s and the 80s, frankly. And then by the time we took over in 1990, basically, it was a huge legacy inventory that we had to deal with. So we're working off a backlog that wasn't handled well to start with. And it's very different. Hanford's tanks are very different than Savannah River's tanks.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be smarter and just sort of manage as we go
All right.
in the future.
I've already destroyed the plan, haven't I? So let's talk a little bit about you two first and Navarro before we get into too much of what we're doing. That's one to set the stage for the show. All right. So, Connie, tell us about you first, the executive vice president.
No, I'm the senior vice president.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan's the executive vice president. I came to work with Navarro in April of 2024. Prior to that, I was the manager of the Idaho Cleanup Project activities at the Idaho site in Idaho, right outside of Idaho Falls. I did that from 2017 to 24 when I came with Navarro.
Okay.
My early career was spent in Washington, D.C. I went to work for the department when I was a youngster. As a contractor at first, and then I switched to be a Fed in 2001. I was EM's budget director for 12 or so years, and then prior to moving to Idaho, I was promoted to the Deputy Assistant Secretary. I managed all the resources for EM, the people, the money, the planning, all the IT infrastructure, that type of thing. And I just moving to the Idaho site was an eye-opening experience for me. I thought I was a good Fed as a headquarters person. I thought I worked really hard to get to a yes answer to facilitate the site getting the cleanup done that they needed. And but when I went to Idaho, I realized there was a lot to learn, and it was very, very rewarding. We had a lot of big successes while I was the manager there. Started a facility that had been 12 years in the making, trying to get it commissioned. Tore down a lot of facilities, retrieved a lot of waste, started shipping things to WIP. So very proud of my time that I was in Idaho, but still live there. Very exciting work. So happy to be working with Navarro.
Beautiful country. It is beautiful country.
It's lovely.
I will say
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan, tell us about your journey. Where did you start? How did you get in this business?
Okay. Well, Oak Ridge is home for me now.
Has been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I grew up in Southern Illinois. Born and raised in a town of 400 people, Makanda. Point of reference, it's outside of Carbondale.
I know where Carbondale
Illinois.
is because my mother and all my family grew up in Paris.
Okay.
It's not far.
Yeah, no, not far. And then I moved to Florida to go to college. I went to, I'm not a Gator. Went to Florida State University and moved to South Florida. I started my career in the commercial IT sector.
You didn't do this in college, did you?
Oh, did a lot of that. Yes, did a lot of that. It didn't help us any in 1998.
No chumps,
but we won't talk about that. Right. I moved to Oak Ridge on November 18th, 2001, and
wow.
Yes, I remember that exact day because it was only 24 days later that I had my first son, Jacob.
Was only 45 days after 9/11, wasn't it? Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
And then I went to work for Navarro just 2 months later,
Really?
in February of 2002. Yeah. And then had my youngest son a year later. So my kids literally grew up drawing on the walls of the Navarro offices over there on Emory Valley Road.
Wow.
I think you and I first met through campaign support to Congressman Fleischman, but
yeah, that was back in 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah, I think so. But I think we really got to know each other through local sports, high school sports. Both of my kids played football for Oak Ridge High School. That's right. They were good.
Tough.
They were good. Jacob was a linebacker, and Cole was a safety. He went on to play college football.
But they were both pretty physical guys. I mean, they were not, it was fun. They were like headhunters. I mean, they came and
that's
got
right.
you. I loved to watch them play. I really did.
It was a lot of fun. And, of course, Alan's a big supporter of Wildcat football, so they could always count on him to buy the Wildcat cards.
Yeah, that much I've supported. I am, yeah. It's been,
Yeah.
The Mexican restaurant covers the cost many times over, doesn't it?
That's right.
Some of the restaurants that support it.
But so, I live here, I work here,
Did
raise
you break away
my
from
kids here.
Navarro and on your own for a while?
I did, and that's a whole full circle story.
Sure.
So,
more experience, diversified experience.
Yeah. So if Susanna Navarro was my first mentor in this industry, my second was Kathy Hickey. Yeah, and a lot of people here know Kathy Hickey. She's been real involved here. She was the reindustrialization manager for UCOR at one point, and she's served on the board for Croat for many years, probably decades now. And so I went to work for Kathy Hickey, and just, fast forward through that, she ultimately kind of finished off her career as the president of Westinghouse.
Right.
And then when she semi-retired and came back, she took over for Bob Eby as executive vice president for Navarro. Okay. When she was ready to completely retire, she came and found me and brought me back to Navarro to succeed her as executive vice president. So, yeah, that was a...
So Navarro's been in the business longer than I thought. They've been in a long time.
30 years, yeah.
Yeah, 32 years ago.
I can't imagine. I mean, we joke all the time, the congressman and I do, that if you want to learn how to do business, just follow Susanna around for about 2 weeks. And you'll figure out what it takes to be successful in business.
That's right. She's a force of nature.
Extremely
she's a very
smart, positive side, and very, very determined and confident. I just like her a lot. Share some of those qualities. I like it. I just think there's a lot. So we were talking about the background and Navarro's involved. Navarro's involved in, I know off the top, and I want to go back to Idaho later because, you know, in history, I think of all the things. I don't think of Idaho anywhere in history. Nuclear history, nothing. But I know you'll straighten me out.
Big
on that
in the
one.
Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Big
that what
with
it
the
was?
Navy
Okay,
history,
that makes sense. So we done all of this, and you guys have a major role in working across the country. I know you're big in Hanford, big in Nevada. I noticed that on the map of sites, the WIP's not on there. So I didn't see WIP. I saw Nevada.
It's on there.
Yeah,
There's only one Nevada site. Which one is it?
Nevada. That's like
Okay. So
WIP
that's
is in New Mexico.
WIP, or is
And
that?
so the waste isolation pilot plant, WIP, is in Carlsbad, New Mexico.
That's the problem. I'm
Yeah.
in the wrong state.
All
See,
the
that's
way
where
down
you
to
get.
the
I got to
bottom.
go down. Nevada is the waste site where everything comes to, right?
The low-level and mixed low-level waste.
Low-level mixed
That's right.
waste. That's correct. So you're involved in that. You're involved in stuff in Idaho. Navarro's involved in Idaho, right? Got to be.
Oh, yeah.
Got to be with you here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to be, right? So there's just a lot to do. And tell me a little bit about it as you're into it. And we're going to overlap these three segments. That's just the way.
Sure.
But tell me a little bit about the challenges. I want to spend a few minutes on Hanford. I've been advocating, and you guys know this, you've been with me at dinners and speaking. I mean, I've been a big advocate of the fact that, and Hanford gets 40% of the EM budget, and my argument is they deserve it, okay? Tell me a little bit about Hanford and what the difference is. There's two major projects out there, right? I mean, there's two major sites, two bids, two different things. I do not know the details. Tell me about Hanford. Well, not just what you do, but what is the overall challenges?
Well, Hanford, it was two offices. It used to be the Hanford site office,
Right.
Which we called Richland,
me
and
too.
it was also the Office of River Protection.
Right.
The
So
Office of
DOE
River-
itself had two separate
offices. And the Office of River Protection was designed and set up specifically to deal with the underground tanks that have
Yeah.
all the waste from the activities that went on out there.
So, because if the river had a problem, there would be a major problem.
Correct. They are close to the Columbia River.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And back in the day, again, I'll just sort of contrast it to Savannah River. Savannah River, when activities were ongoing there and the tanks were being filled with waste, they were run by DuPont. It was a chemical company. So they had a different mindset of segregation of material. They had different record keeping, and the knowledge of what was in the tanks at Savannah River is completely different than what was in Hanford. At Hanford, if you needed just a little more room, you'd add waste to a tank that already had waste in it, whether it was good to do that or not. And so,
Doesn't sound good.
a lot of people dubbed it, when I was a youngster, they dubbed it the Witch's Brew at Hanford because the tank waste was just so gnarly.
Because
And
that's so many different stuff.
Yeah, I think it's 177 different underground tanks they have.
And who
they
authorized
do.
that? The contractor, whoever it was there at the time?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll let it go. I don't even name just.
that. Yeah, I don't want to speculate on that. But yeah, they do get a lot of the funding there. Because they do have some of the nastiest waste that the EM program has to deal with is still sitting up there. But they also have transuranic waste. They have D&D work to be done. They have a lot of similar things, soil and groundwater activities that need to be done. So they have all the normal things that the typical
I'd be
EM
interested
site
in going
has.
there, and I'm not interested in going anywhere. But I'd be interested in looking at the river side of it and the non-river side of it. What's the non-river side do?
Well, it's all close to the river. It's
Okay.
just that it's a sort of a circular site, and the piece in the middle they just call the Central Plateau. So different activities are ongoing in the
That's
Central
right.
Plateau
That's the separate
than what's
thing.
out along the river itself.
But they're bid separately.
Not anymore.
Since?
I think the bid that just was
Because
awarded recently. It was
back
under
in 18
protest
and
for quite
19
some
and
time.
20, they had. Remember that was a competitive bid.
Yeah, I think
That's
within the
right.
last year
And they've combined the DOE
Combined.
office. there.
So now there's one bid for everything.
Well,
No,
not
they're
everything.
they're still separate contractors. So the prime contracts out there include the tank waste. There's a separate contract for the environmental remediation work that's occurring,
Which
the
is what
balance
you
of
do.
site. No, that's CPCCO, which
Okay.
is primarily a Menton company.
Correct.
Okay.
And then there's a contractor that handles all of the mission support, infrastructure, IT, all of those
Okay.
kind of things site-wide.
All right.
And then our contract is for the analytical services for all of the high-level waste. So all of the waste that's coming out of these operations flows through this analytical laboratory that we manage.
We do sample analysis to help them
I get your
identify
point.
how
I
to
understand.
appropriately treat the waste.
Are you treating waste that is being generated currently, or waste that's been there for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years?
We're not treating. We are
Samples.
not treating. We're testing the samples
Verbals, yeah.
of the waste that's been there.
Okay.
But yes, it's legacy.
Legacy.
It's legacy. There you go. That's an
That's
easy word for me. That's good. So it's
Yeah.
legacy waste that you're working with. Okay. Is there still ongoing nuclear operations there? Does it exist at all?
No,
Okay.
they're just cleaning up.
It's going to take a long time.
That's correct.
Will it be the last thing that ever gets cleaned up?
I would say
I would
so.
venture to say.
You have $3 billion in that budget, okay? 3.2 or something like that of the
That's right.
8.8 or whatever. So we take that $3.2 billion. If they had $30 billion, would it go faster? Or is there a geographical kind of spatial limitation to how fast you can clean?
Well, I think some of it is the facilities, because EM's in an anomalous situation where we have to build facilities to treat all this
That's
unique
right.
waste
That's
that
what-
we
that's
have
what-
to deal
that
with.
was my question.
And first of all, it takes a long time to figure out the technology that needs to be deployed first,
Yeah.
and then you got to build the facility to do it. So, yeah, I think more money would help, certainly, but I think there is a
It
tipping
won't
point. At
it
some
won't
point, it
expedite
would not expedite it.
proportionally.
Yeah,
I get it.
right.
All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. All right. So tell me about, just start with I mean, you've already done it really, but start with Hanford and come east. Tell me about what Navarro does.
Well, we work at Nevada. We are the prime contractor at the Nevada Test Site, National. It's not a test site anymore. What do they call it? National
The
Nuclear.
Nevada National
But that's how
Security
I
Site.
understand
Yeah.
Nevada. That's where they
Site,
went out
yeah.
away from all the people and tested bombs and tested stuff. And I mean, there was some serious testing going on.
Right. It's an enormous site, and there was a lot of atmospheric testing that occurred
Yes,
there,
in the
and then
50s.
underground testing in addition to that.
When did it cease? Or whether it has or not is classified, I'm sure. But when do we know publicly of, I mean, we tested weapons. I don't believe we've tested any weapons in so many years ago.
Right,
So
since
when-
92, I think, was the test
92,
date treaty.
yeah,
So,
that was the end, that's
yeah, since then, the mission has shifted to subcritical experiments, so that is still ongoing, but testing itself has been ceased for
So,
a long time.
now
But
you-
what some people don't know is that there were actually off-sites testing as well, and that was all managed by Nevada. So,
The state.
the site.
The Nevada site
The
office.
Nevada, at the time, test site. Nevada
There was
National
off-site
Security.
testing prior to 92?
Right.
Okay.
So in the contract that we manage today, in earlier iterations of that contract, because we've been managing that work since 2002 on behalf of EM Nevada, and prior to that, NNSA. It was an NNSA contract originally. There was an off-sites program where they did actual nuclear testing in other locations. So New Mexico, Alaska, Mississippi, believe it or not. And so part of Navarro's responsibility on behalf of environmental management was to bring those sites to cleanup and then regulatory closure, with the remaining mission being the sites
got a
that are
whole
actually
lot of
on the
questions
Nevada.
about that.
And
on
we're
the
on
Nevada
trajectory.
site.
A lot of questions.
We're on trajectory now that under our current contract, we will complete the cleanup of the Nevada site.
Pretty quick.
Within
By
5 years.
2029. Yeah, we think in
That's
this
fantastic.
administration's window,
I
we're
don't
going to
give any
get that done.
20s dates for
We're going to get that
completion.
done.
Everybody talks 30s and later, you know. So that's great. And will the facility be full? I mean, won't there be more stuff to do, or are you just testing the Nevada stuff? My understanding is if you've got low level, and that's different, if that's different, let me know, transuranic waste, and you're shipping it from Savannah or from New York or somewhere out to Nevada, won't that be an ongoing thing?
Yeah, that's right. There are two components to the environmental mission in Nevada. Part of it is cleanup, and those are commitments that NNSA made to the state of Nevada to complete certain, yes, and it's demolition work. There was soil remediation and closure of on-site corrective action units is what they're referred to. And then there's some really complex groundwater modeling to understand what's happening beneath the surface. And so this part is all coming to closure within the next 4 years. The other part of that mission is the
operation of the site.
Yeah.
Closest
The waste repository.
Closest residential facility, house, whatever, neighborhood to the actual test site. How far? It's out in the middle of nowhere, right?
It is out in the middle of nowhere, but we do have the responsibility of doing that confirmation sampling to ensure that nothing travels through the groundwater to surrounding communities like Beatty and some of the other areas.
So we're 30 or 40 miles away from life, from people.
Yeah, that's right. It's really about the groundwater at that point, because everything else is pretty well contained in the center of the site.
That makes sense. It would be about the groundwater. Interesting. So you come this way. What? You have a contract in Idaho.
We do, in Connie.
It's kind of a jag, went boom, boom.
We do. Yeah. We're in a partnership with Amentum in the Idaho site, and we're working on all of the cleanup activities there, dealing with spent fuel, high-level waste, D&D, transuranic waste, waste exhumation. Yeah, we're running the gamut there in Idaho. And then coming further, we go to WIP. So,
which is in New Mexico.
New Mexico, outside of Carlsbad, New Mexico.
I always wanted Nevada, New Mexico.
The nation's only deep geologic repository that's open for business.
I remember when the fire started. I was involved. Just the studies of it, and solutions and stuff, and Congress is dealing with it. But
so we work on all the waste certification with all the generator sites that send transuranic waste to WIP. We've been asked recently by the manager of the site to work on an activity related to getting remote handled transuranic waste, a little bit more radioactive waste into the mine. So we're working on an initiative for that, because when the contamination events and stuff in 2014 happened, they haven't dealt with anything related to remote handled waste since then, and so they're trying hard now to
let me
start
explain that to the public. So if it's human beings are handling the waste, it's not going to be as high a level. You use a robot, you have automated service, you can handle higher levels of waste, but it's still waste that has to be dealt with, and it gets shipped differently. You get the containers out there. I know a little bit more about WIP than others, but you get the containers out there, and you're going deep into the caves.
But we do the waste certification, and it gets handed off then to the other contractor that's there with Bechtel.
You certify the level of radioactivity,
and then they place the waste into the ground.
Okay.
They ensure that it's safe and in place it.
So we're coming this way. You got other sites you're serving that Navarro serves, small or large? Contracts?
Portsmouth.
So those are our three prime contracts for Department of Energy. Here in Oak Ridge, we've been supporting the Oak Ridge Office of Environmental Management for the last 20 years as their technical and management support services contractor.
Excellent.
So
you see all the different things. We're going to come back after this first break. And what we're going to try to talk a little bit more about Oak Ridge and what's going on in Oak Ridge. I mean, you guys are expert in the industry. You can tell us a little bit about what the Amentum Group has been able to do and how far along and what the challenges were. So we'll be right back. I had to talk.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium. But almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams, building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy.
Through purposeful
and sustainable projects.
we take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect.
We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
Foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships
with our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable
to deliver excellence.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking here about environmental management, cleaning up waste around the country that was generated from the 43, 44 on. And we're going to talk a little bit about Oak Ridge. I mean, something most of us are familiar with in this community. We have three plants, X10, Y12, and K25. K25 shut down 30 years ago or something like that, and then you got the others. But during the war, they were all generating waste. Fair statement, ORNL included. My father came here in the Manhattan Project in the 40s as a radioisotope supervisor, pioneer kind of thing. So they've cleaned up a lot, but there was a lot to clean up in the gaseous diffusion area more than the others, especially since they were closed. And gaseous diffusion, as we know, and I learned a lot of that from Centris, just basic on that show, is that basically we're separating uranium through a gaseous diffusion project, correct stuff. So they quit doing that. There was a lot of waste, all that stuff left that they didn't use. Tell us what they set out to do and how they pretty much completed it outside the gate.
Okay. Yeah, let's start with Department of Energy here locally.
Absolutely.
The Office of Environmental Management, Oak Ridge, is responsible for the cleanup across the reservation. Right. And like you said, that includes the East Tennessee Technology Park, which a lot of us know as K25. Yeah. Right, and then now Y12 and ORNL, which are operating sites. Of course, they started with the ETTP because it was a closed site. We're very fortunate here in Oak Ridge to have outstanding leadership. Yep. Eric Olds has been named now as the permanent manager for environmental management here, and of course, he served in an acting role prior to that. After Jay Mullis announced his retirement. But
Jay was here a long time?
He was here a long time and did a phenomenal job. Got a lot accomplished here. We've had a legacy of tremendous leaders within EM. Jay and Mark Whitney before him, Steve McCracken, and we've had a lot of really great leaders here at the DOE office. We're focused here on environmental management, but like you said, we have three different missions here within Oak Ridge. We have national security, we have science, and we have EM. And
given the waste spill challenges of Y12, we're in a hurry, right?
That's right. But the partnership amongst the federal leadership here is really critical. So, you also got to give a nod to Mary Helen Hitzen, who's managing NNSA's Y12 site office, and Trey Wheeler there at Science. They work all in concert together to integrate these things that are all happening here on the reservation. And of course, all of our work here relies on advocacy and funding appropriated by Congress. So we're really fortunate to have a good friend and advocate in Chuck Fleischman, who's our representative here for the 3rd District. Not everyone has.
He works well with everybody. Mm-hmm. Susie Lee, right. Everybody. I mean, he just gets along with everybody.
That's right. And, you know, people know that he represents us here regionally, but he's also the chairman of the Energy and Water Appropriations. So this
First
is
6 years he was up there, we were in and out of there. Everybody thought he was from Oak Ridge. Nobody knew he was from Chattanooga. It's amazing. Yeah, he takes a lot of ownership of that.
That's right. So our cleanup contractor, UCOR, is the organization executing the cleanup mission here, and they have done and continue to do an outstanding job. They achieved the historic milestone of completing the ETTP cleanup just last year, which has enabled them to move into Y12 and ORNL, which are two operating sites.
Before you leave, Kate, tell us about the revitalization of the buildings. They've been able to create opportunities for new people to occupy those facilities?
Yes, so that's the really exciting part for Oak Ridge and for this community. Making that land available for reuse is going to be transformative for Oak Ridge. And I don't know if you want to get into the reindustrialization right now. We can.
Time is the issue. I get it.
Yeah.
But BWXT is building out there somewhere.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
On the land. I mean, was that land that was...
Yes,
okay.
It is. And I can just do a quick run-through of where all that is. Just last month, they transferred a 32-acre parcel over to the Industrial Development Board, which I serve on for the city of Oak Ridge. Yeah, that's right. And I think that brings the total of land transfer from federal ownership to for economic reuse to over 1,800 acres. And so some of those projects that are coming online, and the BWXT you mentioned, that's
about 3 square miles. I mean, that's 3 miles by 3. I'm doing the acreage. 640 in my head. Yeah, okay.
It's significant, and the economic impact is going to be significant. We have Kairos Power, who is building a demonstration reactor that has the promise of another 55 or so jobs. Triso X, I just drove by on Monday to see they've broken ground on that area. They're building a fuel fabrication facility out there, which is going to bring another potentially 400 jobs to this area. Some of us gathered down by the river on Saturday morning to watch the Bull Run stack implosion, which was, really a thing to watch. It was really exciting. But now that footprint can become available for Type 1 Energy, who's going to build a fusion demonstration and potentially bring another 300 jobs back out to the Horizon Center.
And to be fair, TVA and that show will be on tomorrow night. We have just recently taped it, so it's. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm rambling, but I think.
Yeah, I don't want to leave out Arano, who has announced a really big financial investment. Yeah, that's right. He's great. Yeah. We like Jean-Luc, and they're going to be building a uranium enrichment facility. So again, another 300 or so jobs. I mean, all of this adds up to over $20 billion in direct investment here locally, and over 2,000 jobs created.
Let me put this in context. This is a race for independent uranium and domestic production and getting away from trying to compete with the world's powers, et cetera, and more. Does all of those reactors and all of that growth and all this, will that create new challenges for environmental management? Or will they be self-contained type? Will the new reactors and everything be able to, for lack of a better word, self-clean or maintenance while they go?
I would trust, as a citizen here, that is the case, that they are actually planning for that as they go.
All right. I know it won't be legacy, but the question is, would EM have some responsibilities in trying to follow that behind?
I think it's too early to tell about that.
Okay.
I mean,
fair statement.
I would hope not, but who's to say? You're right.
Go ahead. I interrupted Ryan. Go ahead. Inquiring minds. I'm out here in the rural part. I'm trying to figure it out as we go. So.
Okay, so are we moving from the ETTP side into the cleanup?
You did a good job describing all of the. We had the Oak Ridge Corridor on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they did a great job. The mayors did, and Councilman Sean Gleason about how we're developing those things and people that are coming. It's good. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have the right leadership in place, and that's important to mention too. Not only do we have a legacy of great leaders that put this framework in place to allow us to be here today, but we have timing on our side, and then we have Roane County, Anderson County, City of Oak Ridge, all working together in a council that's like-minded.
Better than ever.
That's right.
Better than ever. I've been through some battles on that. And I give Wade Cresswell a great deal of credit. He does a wonderful job. Mayor Frank's smart, stays engaged, and Sean Gleason's a force of his own.
That's right.
And so that's been really a good threesome to work on that. But anyway, now let's move to Y12, where it seems very critical to me. That's the part I know the best. So tell us.
Y12, UCOR was able to move over there, and one of the first big projects right out of the gate was taking down the biology complex. Yeah. So we know that as the Mouse House, the big red building right as you drive in, that is gone, safely demolished, and now that footprint is available for building the new lithium processing facility, which is vital to our national security objectives here. So now, currently today, they are working on the demo of the Alpha 2 facility, which is a massive 4-story building, old legacy uranium enrichment operations, and then readying some other facilities for demolition. In concurrence with those demo projects, they also have some other critical projects happening, which is the landfill. A lot of us are familiar with the EMDF, which is going to be our on-site disposal facility, which is, EMWMF is about at capacity, and we need the EMDF to come online.
That's correct.
And then the mercury treatment facility. So that's...
And the mercury treatment, for everyone who knows, you go down to Shoney's, you get on Ellen Avenue, don't swim in the creek. Guess what we tell everybody? Don't swim in the creek.
The buildings that are coming in front of us do have a lot of mercury to be addressed, and so that treatment facility is critical before those buildings come down to have a plan and a treatment mechanism for them.
Do we have, in the era of Robert Kennedy, in the era of a lot of other things, do we have a good understanding of what mercury does to you? Do you guys, as knowledgeable?
Yeah, we don't want it in our water. So.
I got that. Okay, that clears everything up, folks.
Fish that were in it either.
Yeah, the fish were walking on. That was the first clue when they got up out of the water, right? Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
All right. So, when is all that going to be completed, Y12? Have they got a timeline? As Amentum, I'll call them Amentum.
Oh, goodness, yes, I'm sure.
Okay.
Could I?
It's out there a few years.
Yeah, I can't say I know it either.
It's a big job. They've got a lot of work ahead of them.
I started thinking about it. Cleaning up this one. They're building UPF here. They're doing this here. It's a busy place.
That's right.
A lot of construction where I think Rick told us a couple weeks ago that 1,600 tradesmen still working out there. Most electricians and some sheet metal there too. But
that's right. So workforce, that's a huge issue. And UCOR did a really good job negotiating a project labor agreement that has been a good enabler. But they are also spearheading a number of workforce development initiatives, both from an outreach perspective, but also developing programs and curriculum in partnership with local schools and universities to train the workforce needed to continue this work.
Yeah, we had Rome State and some others on, and they're putting out, it's just getting started with the programs. They got a project manager, they got a nuclear engineering, and they've got some other craftsman type stuff. That's one.
I'm sorry. It's certainly something too. I think that these new firms coming in here, Arano, all the firms that are coming in here either to build an enrichment facility or some other type of reactor or fabrication facility, they're all looking at that same thing because they all know that they are going to need a next generation workforce as well. So I think it's a good thing. When I've been here on Fridays to go to the E-Tech meetings and stuff, you hear a common theme amongst everyone, not just the businesses that have been rooted here, but the new ones coming in have an awareness of that to help make sure that they contribute in their way to that future.
Yeah, that's right. And it's something that I think as a community we've been talking about for the last decade, but just in the last couple of years, the rubber's hit the road, and you see a lot of partnerships with all of these organizations here locally working together because everyone needs the resources.
Yes, I think so too. I think you're right. And you can't recruit new industry of any size like Arano and others without having, one, the pool of labor necessary, skilled labor to do it, and further along as we are, and number two, TVA and the ability to provide electricity. Boy, I've learned a lot about that. Yeah. I mean, this is the final segment in this one, but we're going to do an AI segment. Whew. It's scary how fast and how much demand that stuff is growing, how it puts on everybody. I was in a strategy meeting this morning, and we've just got to go fast because we're going to get eaten if we don't go fast. I mean, that these things are going to continue to demand and grow and demand and grow.
Yeah, exactly
I think it's
right.
comforting to know, though, that those companies coming in here, I spent a lot of time with Jean-Luc myself, and, he is a wonderful human, and he's got just a keen awareness of what needs to be, and it's nice to know that they want to come into the community, build their facilities, but that they recognize they are going to have to not just continue to deplete and compete with other organizations. They're going to have to help build that workforce. That's nice.
Well, we're going to take a break here, and then we're going to come back and talk about, as a whole country, and some different theme issues that come up with it, and budgeting and environmental management. It's just kind of a miscellaneous. I think it's exciting, the things you've described, and, UCORS deserves a lot of credit for everything they've done in Oak Ridge, and we sincerely appreciate Ken and all the people that have worked with him, and it's been a great job. And let's go to break, one final break.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy.
Through purposeful
and sustainable projects.
We take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect.
We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
Foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships.
With our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable.
To deliver excellence.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
This is Joe Heckman, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
Eight weeks of filming, eight different scenarios, 8 different companies, 8 different guests, and we're just got about 20 minutes left in the 8-week segment, and it's been outstanding. We saved Ryan till the end because she's the best, right? I mean, that's in Connie's coming in with the big play, so we're in good shape. Okay, Chandler, put that slide up. There it is. I guess it may be bigger for the folks at home. But you can see all of the sites that you were talking about. Obviously, you can't put them all up there. Coming across the country. What's in New York? I was going to ask you that the other day. I saw where they were bidding something last year, and I didn't know what. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, there are a couple of different things in New York. The West Valley site.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. Yeah. You know, it's the center of the country has very little. I was just thinking about that today. It's very interesting. If you look around, folks, it's different, and that's where all the areas we've cleaned up. How many do we have left to clean up? How many have we done, Connie? Where are we at in the process? 92
have been complete. Okay. There's 15 to go.
Wow.
But the staggering
I'm an old
thing
ball player. That's good stats, you know.
Well, it's really not, because I was thinking the same thing. But I called some folks before I came on today just to double check some of my numbers because even for me, as long in it I've been,
it changes.
You think it's been 35 years, 89 to now, that we've been working to get 92 sites done. We have spent $184 billion to get there.
Sounds like money.
But, so with the 15 that are left to go, the reason they're left is because they're the toughest. And they're the toughest.
Yeah.
Tank waste, the Savannah River tanks, the Hanford tanks. Idaho still has high-level waste. And Hanford and Idaho both have spent fuel. Savannah River has spent fuel. No Yucca Mountain, right? So
that's crazy.
The cost to go, the estimated cost to go to complete the 15, the low number was $544 billion that was published in the 26 budget.
How much?
$544 billion
to finish.
To finish. That's the low end range. The high end range is about at $750 or something like that.
Okay. And at a budget of $9 million a year, it could be $9 billion a year.
Yeah,
could be
that's what it is. And you tack inflation.
Yeah.
Right? So it is a staggering wall.
What if we quit today? What if we just stop cleaning up?
We can't. We have a moral and ethical responsibility.
Nobody ever asked you that question. Yeah. I can tell that.
So for human health and the environment, I would say.
We made commitments to
But you're about done with Nevada. Is that one of the 15?
It is.
Okay. Well,
and Moab, Utah should be finished by the end of this decade as well. So we're almost finished with Moab. So, it's not like we're not going to get any of the 15 done in a relatively near term, but some of them are going to take more than 35 years to go. Hanford.
History. Let me do a little bit of history. We had two types of bombs in World War II. We had the one that came out associated, at least, with Oak Ridge and Los Alamos, which was uranium-based bomb. Went on Hiroshima. But the second bomb that went to Nagasaki was a plutonium-based bomb. Two different technologies applied. The plutonium, we won't go into pit production and all that, but the plutonium production creates a lot more deadly waste, a lot more hazardous waste. Anybody affected by plutonium besides Hanford and the river, and the Columbia River, and I believe Savannah is too, correct? Those
and then the former Rocky Flat site, which we did clean up and close, but I think some of that is now resident to Idaho.
That's right. A lot of the waste that was at Rocky Flats went to Idaho. A part of what we needed to exhume out of the ground was a result of literal truckloads of barrels of waste going to Idaho that was dumped in the desert and unlined pits and trenches, and then we spent the last
Tell me why
20 years.
Either one of you want to take a step on why plutonium so bad? Why is
I cannot do that, no.
I don't want to take a step. But let's just say that the exposure to that particular chemical element is much more potentially dangerous. It is radically dangerous compared to being exposed to uranium. Not that that's a good thing, but you know what I'm saying. It's a completely different thing. You're exposed to plutonium, you're done. Uranium is a different kind of situation. So that's why it's so urgent that we. And you were at dinner when I spoke to it. You cannot neglect Hanford. You have got to get it right. And that is in the center of the population. Columbia River, I mean, we're talking, where else? I mean, we're not in Nevada, we're not in Idaho, Mohawk. They built this thing right. I don't know. I'm surprised why did they build it there? Electricity? The river?
And access to the water.
Mm-hmm. The water for the reactor.
You got to have the water, yeah. Cool.
Well, and I think that's why, this administration, Secretary Wright, have charged us, the EM group as a general, they've charged us with coming up with innovative ways. It's not don't do it to save money. It's do it, but do it smarter, do it better, not even faster necessarily. Just figure out a different way to do it that isn't maybe going to cost so much money. Come up with a different technology.
Sure.
Look at
that makes sense.
Just look at different ways to do things.
That's something we don't talk about a lot, but that's probably a good
instead
idea.
of just honing in on a decision that was made in 2003 or something, and then just not reevaluating it.
And that's because, to be fair, that's because private enterprise isn't involved. There's no need for innovation. We'll just keep getting government funding. We'll keep moving ahead. Here comes the conservative. But at some point, if you can figure out a way to do it cheaper and more innovatively, there's an opportunity to save taxpayer money and for somebody else to be a part of the process and make money that wouldn't have made money anyway. So I'm not skilled enough to understand all the different technologies that would be necessary, but it seems like we're doing it in the reactor world.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. And we're a highly regulated environment that has a low risk threshold, right? So we react to those things by adding additional layers of controls, and that's happened over time for decades and decades and decades.
As you learn more.
Right, and so now we're kind of in a position where there are things that we've done just because we've always done them that way, and so that's the charge, right? Muscle memory is like,
that's a good point.
Let's take a step back and think about what makes sense and kind of reprocess flow the way that we're doing things.
I think there's a competitive tension between the scientific way of researching and spilling and let's go over not in this necessarily, but everything, especially production and stuff, doing this and let's make sure this is right and let's don't rush, let's do this. And now there's a new whole thrust on we got to go. Manhattan Project number 2. We need production. We need accountability. We need deadlines, and we need to move faster, starting with the NRC. And I guess the way I guess we have to be, I don't want to say less risk observed, but we have to build in the chances that we could lose some things on the way, but we have to get there anyway, so we need to go. My father worked in O&L in radio. He got 50 to 60 rads a year, 10 times what we get now, right? When he was 55, his heart was that big, and he died of a heart attack at 60. But he always saw it as a different war wound, that his buddies got killed in Italy, he was a scientist. It eventually took him too. I mean, I think there's some, it's easy for me, I'm not going to crawl in there and do it.
Yeah, and there's certain tenets that we won't give up, right? We have to be safe. We have to be protective of human health and the environment. But what else can we look at? And
what is that definition of it? I mean, what's acceptable risk? And I think I don't know much about the NRC. I have friends that work there that are leaders that have grown up in Oak Ridge and moved on. But I think that, and the difference is that it shouldn't take 3 years to get things done. They should be able to get that process done quicker, and approvals be done within a year or 18 months or whatever it is.
I think one of the things that's transitioned, I would say, in the last decade or so, when EM started in 1989, there was a mess out there, and 107 different sites, which means 107 communities affected. Some of them were tribal nations. They really didn't understand what was going on in their community. The department was coming in. They were going to start building up buildings and setting up camps to try to tackle this waste. And I don't know that the department, in hindsight, even reflecting on it, the leadership from back then, I don't think they thought they communicated very well to those entities, to the public, the stakeholders, anybody in those communities. Particularly in the last decade.
Those communities felt like victims.
Correct. And to some degree, they frankly were. I mean, they thrived, like Oak Ridge thrived during the height of building the bomb, but at the same time, it was suffering at the same time.
But we're its child. There was nothing here before. They didn't come in and build it on top of us. People came from all over the country to put it together and to do something for the war, and we inherited it.
Right.
Is that fair?
But just as we see in spades here in Oak Ridge, the alignment between the state officials, the community officials, the public, the businesses, is what fosters the ability to get things done faster and better. And so I think a lot of that for the EM people, at least those of us that were in the federal community, when Ike White was EM1, he pushed that so hard. It was like one of his big themes with us all the time was to be communicative and meet more with the tribal leaders and talk to the public. And we use Citizens Advisory Board meetings and stuff to make sure that people understand what we're doing. And we talk to them before we do it. We don't just decide what we're going to do and tell them we're going to do it. You go work with them and educate them. And I think that's another thing. Everybody talks about nuclear like we should all be so completely afraid of it. And to some degree, I guess there's an obvious respect we have to have for everything. But we have workers in Hanford and Savannah River and Idaho that deal with spent fuel, for instance, and they're not afraid because they know how to deal with it.
You can say the same thing about coal mines.
Correct. So I think to some degree it's getting the knowledge that the worker base in the EM program has, getting that out into the community a little further and helping. And again, it all gets back to alignment. If you can help people understand what they should be afraid of and what they shouldn't necessarily be afraid of, it would go a long way.
I'm sitting here in 1942, 43. I get General Groves, who didn't want to do it, but I got him down here to run this. I've got Nichols down here. I've got people. Why did they choose the sites they chose? Now, Oak Ridge, I know the history. We have mountains. We were more secure. They could put a gate here and a gate there, and you couldn't get in here. And the mission was a little different. If you look at the main sites, the 5, 6, 7 legacy sites from the war, however many there are, why did they choose those sites? Do you think there was a non-populist discrimination? I don't know. I wonder why they chose the sites they chose.
I mean, if you read some of the history books, you know, the things that have been available, I think Los Alamos was chosen because of its isolation. It was literally out in the middle of nothing. And then I think Hanford, again, it was terrain and location to the river. But other than that, it was sort of nestled down in the valley by the river.
And they deliberately chose disparate locations, geographic locations, to separate the different parts of the mission.
That makes sense.
Same with Savannah River. Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't get an Oak Ridge without a badge until 1959 when they became a public city. So.
I was just telling Ryan when we came in here today that I'd love to see a map of the city the way it is now and then lay over it where the gates and everything were. I've never seen anything like that. But
really
like you can tell this area here where you're located, the studio is clearly in the
it was always 15 miles
long
or 12 miles long and about a mile wide, you know, the two ridges on each side. I live on the top of that one and this one. So, I mean, it's always, I remember the badges. Now you're getting, that's before my time a little bit. I was 3 or 4 years old when they had the badges. Stopped doing it, but
I was telling you, Connie, my first house was a bee house, so we're gonna do a driving tour.
We're gonna go. I grew up in a split level, but I mean, it was in this. But you look around. I go back to when I was a kid. There's 12 houses on our circle still there. 3 of us are children of the people that originally owned it, the different houses. But you look as a kid. I mean, there were a lot of science people. I mean, Willie and Russell lived down the hill from the elementary school. Alvin Weinberg lived across from the elementary school. In my one little school district, Cedar Hill, there was like 2 Nobels and an Alvin Weinberg and a few others. So, we grew up around this stuff. Mm-hmm. We had that. We had a different issue. We had a different thing. So we move on. I think the budgets will be good in my field of experience. I think the budgets will be good for EM. I think people know you got to keep going. And there's a political tension there between both sides, but I think everybody wants to clean things up. But I don't know, Washington politics, Nevada politics, you get into Georgia politics, South Carolina politics. We're not going to take money away from that person to give it to a state with that person. But sometimes the mission is...
Yeah. Well, when you combine environmental cleanup with enabling national security, it's a pretty good combination. It gets a lot of support.
Well, enabling national security is the core of everything. That's where that's what we're trying to do. And I think, what would you say give me the next 2 or 3 years, because that's what we're working with in this administration. In the next 4 years, what do you see? You see finishing Nevada, other things getting done, getting another landfill open here in 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, that's right. We're motivated to get Nevada finished. Out at Hanford, at least our role with the 222S laboratory, that's an old facility that's aged, and so we're trying to get it set up for the DF law and all these other things that are coming online, because production's just ramping up as cleanup is moving through.
Has the technology of cleanup, of testing, of sampling, of everything, has it improved over the last decade? I mean, is what you do easier to do?
Yeah, I would say continuously.
I think it's a mindset that we all have. I don't think we're going to be in this business very long if you don't continue to try to improve as you go. So I would think technology's, kind of like
but
AI.
Everything else in life
leaps and bounds.
I mean, our cell phones are better, everything's better. I mean, your testing equipment better. I mean, we barcode things now. I mean, there's 100 ways to do it. Because when you're receiving stuff into Nevada or New Mexico, it's some pretty serious stuff. Although it's low level and wet, but I mean, it's still, you've got a lot of.
Well, and I was reading something that Eric Olds had just talked about not that long ago, where they're using those different technologies to actually improve the way they deal with workers. There's something that they're doing here at Oak Ridge where they're having the workers wear biometric samplers, I guess, and if they get hot or whatever, and instead of them getting to a point where they suffer heat exhaustion that takes them longer to recover, their biometric real-time monitoring helps them keep the workers safer. So, if they can figure out how to do those things, we're just going to continue to figure out how to do
It's a lot different when my dad was getting 60 rads a year, and then he's getting a lot of different things, and the technology and the evaluations and the safety. So, I think we only have 30 seconds, but we use the example of the new glove boxes. The technology, you won't have to use the suits like, and that's progress for workers. That's progress for everybody. Hey, thank you both for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep doing great work in Navarro. It's a great story, and I really appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys back on the trail. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.